Okay. Welcome everyone to the Toku Portal podcast. It's me, Zero.
Kid.
Drago.
And Rai. Today we're talking about Kamen Rider Build, episode 35. So, Stark has merged with Banjo, and Evolt is reborn. We finally get the story of what exactly happened. When the unmanned probe landed on Mars, Evolt put a part of his genes on it to send back to Earth. It possessed a nearby woman, but ended up actually possessing the baby inside her womb, and so it was born without its powers or memories of being evil. And that was Banjo. And then an astronaut goes to Mars, and Evo possesses him and just goes to Mars Earth himself with the box. But then he fails to open it, and then he meets Katsuragi Shinobu and forces him to work for him. And that's probably why Shinobu later took his own life. Any thoughts on this big expedition dump?
Well, sounds familiar. I think, in Deno there was Sieg, who possessed a baby instead of the mother. So yeah, this is something that has happened in Rider before, so I'm not surprised. And this is practically what I had guessed in the first place when they revealed this information long ago. I think this was fairly obvious to figure out, and this was only for maybe for the younger viewers to, if they haven't figured out yet, to piece it together, something like that.
Glad they did bring up the suicide thing because I totally forgot about that. They mentioned it in like one episode. But yeah, it was interesting just to have it all fleshed out and seeing Sento's reaction.
Zero, we can't hear you. Okay, Zero's gonna need to get that figured out. So I'm gonna start moving on until he does. Oh. Are you back? Nope, we still cannot hear you. Okay, so despite Sento's attempts to stop him, Evolt takes Pandora's box and the bottles, and then tells Sento that he saved his life because he has another job for him. I have some theories about that later. And then Sawa and Kazumi find Soichi's body in the rubble outside. So his body didn't just like evaporate in the clash. That's okay. How do you guys feel about that? Because I'm pretty neutral towards Soichi still being alive.
I mean, I kind of saw it coming when they had like that rubble blocking the camera view, but I just hope when he when he regains consciousness that he's useful in some way, because we have a couple characters just there.
I'm with Decade on that one. I was gonna say the same thing, but he said it anyway, so not really anything to add.
Yeah. I mean, I guess Mizora doesn't have to mourn her father because he's not dead. Zero, can you talk yet?
Yeah, that was weird. Okay. Yeah, hopefully you guys can hear me now.
You're a little quiet and I have you turned all the way up, so if you could just speak up a bit.
Yeah. Okay, I turned down my volume also. Because, like, I came back and it was super loud, and I was like, okay, what's going on? Yeah. So, intro part, right? At least they explain the backstory. I mean, yeah, I guess it makes enough sense. As for, I guess you guys must have been talking about like Suichi not being possessed now.
And his body is still there. It wasn't like destroyed in the fight.
I mean, it makes sense because like he just took over Banjo. Plus, the thing is like, at least Mizora has something to do now. Plus, like, maybe Soichi is gonna help them defeat Evolve. So, like, you know, at least I guess they're making good use of character. I don't know. Um, I mean, at least he's more relevant than fucking Namba Industries at this point.
Oh my god, I can't wait to get to that part of the episode. First, though, let's talk about this moment. With both Sento and her father injured, Mizora is very upset. And then Kazumi blows his chance to comfort her. What an idiot!
That was pretty funny. I had a good laugh. This one thing I really have to praise Build on is that they really know how to do comedy compared to Xaid and Double, which the jokes don't land. But in Build, every time they do comedy, it lands and it is hilarious, which is why I love this series a lot.
Yeah, I could tell right away that it was the main writer because he has done that a couple times in his different shows. Same scenario. It's the character with an unrequited love, and they have some inner monologue, so that was hilarious to see in this show as well.
Zero?
Sorry, I was like resetting my Audacity because like my recording stopped. Whatever. Personally, I'm not really a big fan of that damn scene because it's like, alright, one, it's Otoya, so it's always great to see him act like that, kind of. But I'm not like, I don't know. You guys are like, oh, X8's comedy wasn't great. I'm like, yeah, the like over the top shit, but I don't know, man. I'm not a fan of this style of comedy. Like I don't like when they're like constantly breaking the fourth wall in the intro, and I definitely didn't like this. Like it's like, okay, we have a show and then we have all this other shit. Like, I know the like X8 comedy bits are like really over the top and stupid, but I'm like, they're so stupid I can ignore them because it's like, all right, you're clearly just putting this in because you have to. It's a mandate. Whereas this is like, no, you could have written this normally. You just decided to go over the top and like break the fourth wall and all this other shit. And it's like, I don't care, man. Like, you're deliberately breaking your own series' like you know, tone, and I'm not a fan of it. I mean, it wasn't terrible, but it's just like, I don't like it.
I legit can't remember any of X8's comedy aside from Emu tripping over himself.
I mean, the hero, like, Sweets jokes were pretty decent.
Those were really good, actually. They were always subtle. Alright. So, Sento asks Gentoku to meet with them, as he has the last bottle needed for Pandora's box, the Phoenix bottle that he's been using to make his getaways. Evold interrupts the conversation and forces the riders to the tower, where he inserts the third panel into the box. I like that Gentoku feels like he hasn't redeemed himself yet, because he really hasn't. He hasn't done anything to redeem himself. He's just stopped being a dick. This is his chance to do it, though. What do you guys think?
Okay, when Banjo Evolved came over there, and the actor was portraying him as Evolved. The actor of Banjo was portraying Evolved.
Hmm.
That was really good, the acting at least, but the voice didn't sync well with the way he was speaking.
Yeah, there's a reason why Soichi never had Stark's voice.
Yeah, I think they could have used the actor's natural voice instead of the voice actor.
No, but we gotta know that he's evil, though.
Okay.
Like, that's literally it. Like, you don't want people to get confused. You gotta know that this time Banjo's evil right now. He's being possessed.
I think the hairstyle is a giveaway enough, I guess. And I don't think the people are idiots to not know that. So yeah, that's my only complaint. Otherwise, it's a fine thing. The Gentoku not being redeemed is actually great, and I hope like by the end of the series, I think he needs to serve time in prison or something like that. Because it would be really too convenient if he like ends up becoming the ruler of Japan or something.
No, he's not gonna become the ruler of Japan.
Yeah, that would be a bit much. I guess this is just gonna be like a running theme. Call Gentoku before the commercial break. So that's kind of fun. I was kind of disappointed that Kazumi didn't get pissed off when Sento asked Gentoku to help them, because Gentoku was perfectly sane when he killed his comrade, but whatever. We've got more important plot to get to, so.
I think Kazumi's just like done all his mourning at this point.
Well, they did when Gentoku was called. They did show Kazumi's face, and they showed the a bit of anger and resentment in his face, but he didn't say anything. So I think it was more of show not tell kind of situation, and they didn't show much.
That's a good point. I forgot that they showed his angry face.
Yeah, I mean, they did. I was thinking they were gonna have a throwdown or whatever, but like, Kazumi tends to be like the most level-headed of all of them because he's basically a soldier, which is weird, but whatever. So I think he's just seeing like, all right, I can save this fight for later, because right now the bigger threat is Evolve. As for like the voice thing, I don't know, man. Like, I guess we have a voice actor. We might as well use him.
Okay, this fight. This beautiful fight. I remember in the early days of Build, I wasn't really getting into the fights because they weren't very good. How far we've come is just glorious. Gentoku gives Sento the Phoenix bottle so he can take the other bottles and run. And then when Gentoku and Kazumi are knocked out of the arena, Sento takes back a few bottles to try and keep fighting, instead of running. And then Evolt starts taking the fight seriously, so he easily overpowers Sento and takes back the bottles. Oh, but the fight is so well done. I love it.
Well, the earlier fights in Build, I kind of excused right now because there was a plot explanation that Bloodstalk was manipulating them and making the fights easier. But yeah, otherwise, this fight was like on point with all the form changes and the attacks and how well they utilized all the arsenal. This was one of the best fights of Build. I'll have to say that. And especially when he used the hazard form again, and Key Dragon was fighting against the dragon form evolved, and that was great. I would say this episode was really good when it comes to fighting.
Yeah, and they both used the beat crosser. That was pretty awesome. Would have been perfect with a little bit less monologuing, but whatever. We gotta remember what the show's about, the ideals, and believing in humanity and stuff. So it was still really good.
Yeah, I was just watching like Chris Amadeus' review, and he's pretty much just saying what Rai said, which is like this fight was actually really really good. As for like the excuse of oh well we have a in lore reason, like in story reason for why the early fights sucked, I'm like that's such bullshit. What a cop out, because like oh the lore reason is like well the early fight should have been easy. I'm like yeah, all right, like look at Wizard, like the early fights are easy for him too, but they don't suck ass. Like Kiva's first fight, he just like dominates the Night Fang guy, or like the blue horse guy, and that's pretty fucking awesome. You know, so all this bullshit of like, oh, the early fights we can excuse, like fuck that. You know, they're getting paid to do a job, do it well.
I agree. Like, in story reason doesn't excuse a fight from sucking.
Oh yeah, that's true. I just think right now it just plays back better in my head because I'm more focused on the story of Build rather than the fights at this point. So yeah, I do agree on that.
Yeah, I mean that being said, like Evol's monologue, like Evol never shuts the fuck up. That's his biggest problem. Like whenever he's Stark or Evol, so like now he's like, oh, actually I am the final boss now. So it's like fuck it. He's just kind of like James Bond villain. Like no, it's mandatory now. I do this. And like then he gives the most bullshit spiel of like, oh, science leads to destruction. I'm like, okay, idiots actually, stupid people actually believe this garbage. The problem is like, all right, let's stop science. We'll still have wars. Humanity will still, fight. All right, let's take away all technology. You'll still die because you took away technology. We'll still fight for the remains. What the resources are left. If every human on the stinking planet stood still and did nothing, we will still die because the universe, entropy exists. It is just the law of the universe. You will break apart even if you stay still. So it's so dumb.
Evil is getting to you in the way that he is supposed to be getting to Sento.
No. I know. You're like, oh, you're supposed to give like a rousing speech. No, but the other thing is like, I can kind of excuse it because in my they haven't really explained what the fuck Evil is. In my mind, he's just like Cell from DBZ.
Pretty much Cell.
Yeah, he's basically created to just like end the world. So like him having this bullshit reasoning of like, well, it's just gonna end regardless of what you do. I'm like, all right, this is bullshit, but like you're basically a bioweapon, so I can kind of forgive you for that. Whatever.
Like his whole thing is that like he's saying all this stuff to get Sento riled up and feel bad about himself. Because remember when he was fighting against Toku, he was like, oh man, after all you started this war too, your crimes will never be forgiven. Like he's just saying whatever he thinks will take that person off the most.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, my one problem is like every once in a while, like I see like, oh, you have a brain, as for a hero, and then like I wonder like just once. Like some of these guys go like, yeah, and you're the real problem, therefore I'm just gonna take you down. But I'm like, oh, that's too straightforward because then we'll just go to like the Showa era thing of like, look at this horrible thing. Oh, if you're clearly the bad guy, this must be your fault. Whereas like Build isn't quite that simple, but like this really is just Evol's fault. So like none of his bullshit should be getting to anyone at this point.
Yeah, he blames humanity for starting this war, but he instigated all of it.
Yeah, I know, right? Like if this was Gaim, it would make sense. Oh my god, I'm fucking praising like not Gaim. I was gonna say like Yggdrasil, because like Yggdrasil are fucking dumb. Um, like the show isn't terrible. Like the suits are okay and whatever. Like the fights are at least decent. Okay. All right, but the thing is, like, at least in Gaim, it's like this whole mess is because you idiots just like took this one thing and made it much worse, you know, or like O's, where it's like, all right, like you really shouldn't be fucking with the metals, ancient O's king dude, but you know you did, and therefore it set all this shit up. Um, Whereas in Build, it's like, no, there is no 50-50. This is your fault, Evo. Like, Nambe Industries have kind of been there from the start, but like, they're kind of just benefactors. Like, they haven't really done anything that bad. Like, they're like, oh, they've done everything to get the box, but they haven't really done anything that terrible. I mean, like, except for this arc, which is their fucking arc, you know? Like, they took out...
So, is it their arc? Because I thought it was going to be when it started, and then they've done nothing, and Stark has just been the main villain.
Yeah, it's true. But, like, the difference is at least they did, like, one thing bad is, like, they continued the war. And, like, that's the one thing you could say, like, they've actually done, but they haven't done anything after that, so it's like, who cares? Like, they're worse than Foundation X. At least fucking Foundation X gets something done. Whereas this is like, shit. You know, I have the screen quota, and I must fill it. Like, whereas Foundation X, even when they're, like, fucking up, you kind of feel like they might get something done someday, whereas, like...
I feel like they made progress.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas Nambe Industries is like, I've had all this, and we're like this great, weird reimagining of old Shocker ideas. I'm like, that's cool. Are you gonna do anything? No. Like I thought they were gonna be like the human faction of like Golgum from Black, where like, you know, like they're working with the villains, but they're kind of like evil, corrupt humans also. But like nothing happens, so it's fucking worthless. Like they should have been like the human faction from like Black Coast or anything. Like they're good reimagining of the Showa stuff, but they haven't done any of the cool shit that the Showa era does. So it's like, what the fuck? Why are you still on screen?
You know what? I'm gonna segue that into talking about Namba's role in this episode. He still thinks that Evolt is working for him. And then he complains that Evolt is going to open the box because he doesn't want it open yet. And then he sends Utsumi, a normal human with a gun, to try and stop Evolt from opening the box. Like, of course that failed.
Yeah, well, Nanba actually, I don't think so. Nanba trusted Stark in the first place, but he just let Stark do whatever he wanted. He should have kept him under arm's length, which was the biggest mistake he did. And I don't know now how relevant these people, Nanba is gonna be. I just hope the payoff is good, because this kind of sticks out as a sore thumb in at least in Build right now.
Utsumi should have just showed up as Night Rogue, but no, he just had to be in useless civilian form.
Seriously, anything than just having a gun.
Not a good idea. Oh well, I guess, I mean, the good news is that we're on episode 35, so I'm sure Namba's gonna have something up his sleeve once Sento settles things.
Yeah, I was hoping Utsumi would show up as Night Rogue too. That would have been interesting. You know what the saddest part is? The Engine Bros, they're still alive.
Oh my god. Where are they?
Yeah, exactly, right? Like, no, let's send out Uzumi, but not the actual two fucking writers we have.
Not the two people
It's
that could have at least stood a couple more seconds.
right. Like, I mean, even if they didn't, like, their numbers might have accomplished something, you know? It's so dumb. Like, to be fair, I know we've probably got like 10 episodes or so left, but like, for God's sakes, man, I hope they're fucking dead. Like, when the tower expanded, I hope they're just done, because that would be a shitty end to a fucking shitty plotline. They're not worth the effort. Like, I don't want them to keep showing up in episodes just to pad out the episode. Because, like, they don't matter at all. Like, if any of the writers really wanted to kick their ass now, they'll just turn around, like, just take them out. They're nothing.
Seriously, even Kazumi, the weakest rider, could just take him on. As a matter of fact, he did.
Yeah, he can even kick the ass of the one with where he uses the both Hell Brothers, I think. Yeah. So they are practically useless.
So-
I think I understand that why they are not using them, because they are useless in the first place. But also they don't serve any purpose to the story other than being mooks now. Oh, I don't think that even bringing them back here again would serve any purpose. Let them die off on their own.
I would be totally fine if we never see them in the show again and they just fade into obscurity.
Yeah, I would be perfectly fine with that. Like, the one thing is, it was building up. I thought they were gonna do like kind of a Fives thing where it's like we're just gonna do the president and like Smart, and Lucky Clover, where it's just like, yeah, we're just building these guys and they're pretty badass, but like at the end, like the president like just fucks himself over and like Lucky Clover gets taken out,
But
sort of thing.
But it's like a worse version of that.
Yeah, it's much worse than that. Like, I thought that's what they were building for. It's like, okay, I'm waiting so all the writers just take out the Namba industry assholes. Sawa like rescues the rest of the kids who are like brainwashed or whatever, and then and then Stark just takes out Namba, and I'm like, okay, yeah, they did their job. They're dead now. Who cares? But they're still around, and like, it's even as if like the writer doesn't know what the fuck to do with these assholes. It's kind of sad, to be honest. Like, this show has too many characters now. That's its own fault, right? Like, I mean, to be fair, like Sawa sticking around this long kind of sucks because like she doesn't really have anything to do. But like, at least we gave her a plot line, and then we're not using that plot line. It's just really stupid.
Okay, Namba doesn't do anything at this point, but he still thinks that he's relevant. Fine, that's one thing. Why is Evo still pretending to work for him? What does he still need?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. I'm like, he literally has everything. Like, he doesn't need him at all. And like, I mean, we could have had like that scene could have been like Namba's last scene where he thinks like, oh, Stark is still working for him, and then like Evolt just white wizards him or something, you know, or like
That would have been
I
nice.
guess, yeah, but not white wizard, like wise man, yeah, wise man's him. That would have been great, and like it's like, yeah, the old villain takes out, I mean the new villain takes out the old. It's like a very Sentai thing, but like it would have fit perfectly. Because like then Evolve gets everything and everybody in his way is gone, and like then with this tower coming up, it's like, okay, no, all this old shit is gone. We're starting up a new arc now, but they're still around.
Okay. Evolt has now all the remaining bottles. One by one, he inserts the last remaining panels into the box. The tower continues to build up as a violent storm brews around it. A platform arises under Sento and Evolt as it carries them to the top of the tower in the eye of the storm. The tower is complete, and Evolt proclaims, "This is the end of the world." Episode end.
It's not.
It's not, but it's still a really good ending.
Okay, yeah, that's right. But I really don't like the previews. Sometimes they should just like stop making previews, because after that we just to hide whatever is gonna happen next episode. And I'm pretty sure I know what is gonna happen next episode.
Like, the preview killed all the momentum that this ending had, but this is still like a really good ending to an episode. This is like building up to the final 2 episodes kind of thing.
Yeah, I'm glad they pulled out all the stops on the effects, because that was pretty impressive in and of itself. But yeah, how the hell is Sento gonna come back from that? We will see.
Yeah, so funnily enough, I didn't actually see this next week's preview, so I have no idea what's gonna happen.
Oh.
But like, but knowing it's a writer show, like it's a cool ending, and we've got like 10 episodes to go. It can't be like, oh no, he wins. I'm like, yeah, right. Like, it's not even episode 40. You have no chance. I mean, like the effects look cool though. And then once it's happening, I'm like, oh, okay, what's with this like weird like Greek thing going on? Like we're going back to Gaim. Is like Saint Seiya gonna show up and claim his Pegasus cloth or something? Like what the fuck is this? That was weird, but like, I don't know. Like maybe it's gonna be like a weird thing where it's like, oh, it's not like I press this button and the world ends. It's sort of like it just gives people powers or something, or I don't know, something else happens, and then like humanity ends itself.
That actually is similar to what my theory on what is going to happen next episode is, if you want to hear it.
Sure, why not?
So, to give you context, Zero, the next episode preview shows that that storm is gone and nothing's been destroyed. And then Sento has some sort of like new mysterious tool. And I think that's what the point of the tower is. The tower itself doesn't destroy the world. It creates the object that has the power to do that. And it seems like maybe Sento is going to use that to unlock his final form. We know that Stark, Evolt, has one more job for Sento. He clearly wasn't finding the Phoenix bottle because he could have found Gentoku on his own. What if he intends for Sento to use that power because he thinks that he'll destroy the world with it?
Oh, we're doing like Ryuki all over again.
I have another theory that I think Evolve wants to just raise Sento's hazard level with that tool, because so far that's what he has been doing for Sento. Unlike Ryuga, who can just rapidly increase hazard level, Sento has been using objects to do it. I think that tool is meant to increase Sento's hazard level, and then he intends to possess him.
Oh. To like achieve his final form?
Yeah,
I mean,
probably.
We know there's like one more evolved form, but like, I'm not a fan of that. I mean, like, it could happen, but like, it's kind of dumb because like, oh, I've finally fused from being from Mars, back as one, and now I need a stronger form. It's like, why? Like, Katsuragi isn't even that important. Like, he's smart, but he's not that strong. I mean, it might happen, but that's kind of... I hope not.
Well, I also believe that, like, something similar to this happened on Mars, because Sento is shown to have the same white hair that Bernage has, so maybe, like, she was in a similar situation that Sento is going to be in.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It's like, is that why, like, Bernage is still around? Because, like, yeah, I guess, like, Bernage survived. It's going to be interesting. Like, okay, it depends on where the fuck the bracelet... I guess we know where the bracelet came from. It was in the box. I don't know, man. Like, I get what they're trying to do. It's like make Sento relevant now because like the end of the world's coming and like we got our ass kicked and all our power ups are gone. But like this, I mean, it's almost too close to like, oh, you're the chosen one syndrome. Like, it might not be that bad, but that's what it feels like right now, and I don't want it to go down that route.
I don't think it's gonna go that far. I think like Evolt has a plan for Sento, and because he's been stringing him along this whole time. Like, why should he expect anything different? And then Sento is going to surprise him by like cutting the string, basically.
Yeah, hopefully he does that. You know what the worst part is? Like, okay, if it's just Evolved versus Build, like, why didn't they just take out like Gentoku and Katsumi right now? Like, what is their purpose then? Like, they're already so behind these two. It's like, what's the point of keeping them alive?
Probably that, like, Rider series have become very sensitive about character death in recent years. So, if they're a hero, they're probably going to live.
I mean, maybe is that why like the Hell Brothers disappeared because we don't want to kill anyone because Bill's whole thing is like, oh, I don't want to fucking take anybody's life. I'm like, okay, cool, but like, I don't think fucking Katsumi gives two shits, especially for like the guys who killed his friends, or Gentoku, you know, like it's so weird. Like I get it. I get we like these people and we don't want to show them like just killing whatever and like, you know, we want to keep people around, but like if they're of no use, fucking get rid of them. Like a lot of hero shows have this damn problem lately.
Yeah, you're completely right. I mean, just thinking about X-Aid, how well the characters, like the secondary riders, were still used. Like, I mean, even if it wasn't perfect, like Hito becoming evil, air quotes, that was still a really fun arc. When like, and then bringing back Laser as evil, and seeing him fight X-Aid and stuff, that was really fun shit. And the secondary riders were still useful. And then they had a showdown with Graphite. So compared to that, this is definitely behind in that category. But oh well, X-Aid was awesome.
X-Aid is the perfect example of my point. Every main character that died in that series came back.
I know, but like X-Aid's one of the ones where they can just do that, so it's like there's no reason. Well, I mean Graphite, because he wanted to go and not revive, so like I'm like, okay. Whereas like, you know what I just realized? We're fucking keeping Namba Industries alive because then Gentoku and like Katsumi have something to do. And it's like the worst possible reason. The worst. Oh, we have too many characters. How will we solve it? Let's just keep more extra useless characters. Therefore, they must have a plot. It's like, fuck up. It's so terrible. Yeah, like to be fair, like X8 they died and they came back. I'm like, alright, if they didn't come back, their deaths would have been such bullshit. Like Poppy and fucking and like Peridot dying was such nonsense that like realistically they didn't even have to die. So that plotline doesn't count. Whereas like Graphite died and like, yeah, alright, I can see that happening. And then like Kronos took out the rest. So, like, it wasn't as bad as this.
Okay, so Graphite is the one exception. He was the only main character in X8 that stayed dead.
Hey, come on. Burgermon died too, everyone. Can't
Well,
forget about that.
didn't he
that
come
guy.
back in the movie? Isn't he back in the movie?
Which movie?
No.
Nope.
No.
He did.
That sucks. I thought he came back in like the one where like Nico gets that power up, like that snipe power up, whatever.
That is
Maybe
a
he's
stage show.
Ah, God
Doesn't
damn it.
count.
Oh
Yeah.
wait, so it comes back in real life, but not in the show, huh? That's interesting.
I guess that's interesting. As for like, oh, it doesn't count. I'm like, that's bullshit because in Coast it did. You know that like 100 icon movie?
No,
Like
but go
all
on.
the extra. Okay, in Coast has this movie where it's like Coast versus like the 100 icon things, and like the show doesn't have that many icons. So it's like, where are the icons? Yeah, the rest are from the stage shows.
That feels more like a cop out to me.
Kinda, but like the stage shows have their own plot. So, like it just like, you know how in the Gaia memories there's like the standard set, and then there's like the manga and stuff have the extra ones, and they're sorta canon, sorta not. But like I guess in X8 they are not X8. In Coast they are canon. Like the stage show is canon, so it's weird because like the villain of that movie is the villain from the stage shows. Because yeah, like
That's
he's
pretty neat, actually.
yeah, he's pretty interesting. Like what happens in like X8, not X8, Coast, what happens is like the main villain is kind of like double, where it's like this family who has power and that's causing the problems. So he's kind of like the villain of that movie is like a long lost son. Kind of like they thought he died, but like he just got transported. Like he's Proto Ghost basically. Like he's the first driver experiment, and like his driver kind of ported him. Like it's weird. The point is like he's just Proto Ghost, and he comes back and he basically wants to take over because like he's like, well, I'm the fucking prince. This is my right, you know, to rule, kind of. And then he comes back. Actually, he's like mostly in the stage shows, maybe in like kid form. I don't know, whatever. No, I think he's grown up. And he comes back in the movie, and he pretty much goes like, "Yeah, I'm back now, and I'm fucking taking over," because I collected all the other icons. Because like in Ghost, the thing is like, you have to collect 15 to come back to life, right?
Right.
And so like the same thing happens to him, where it's like, oh, he got like killed or transported to another dimension or something. Point is like he had the same setup as Ghost, where it's like, oh, collect these icons and you'll come back to life. Or actually, it's more like collect 15 and you can get one wish, because they're basically Dragon Balls. And so he collected his, but they're 15 different ones. Like Ghost has his, and then like Spectre and those guys sort of have a couple different ones, but like, yeah, they have their 15 and so on. But like this guy had his own different set, but he made his wish, and it's basically like Ghost basically wanted to come back to life, but his wish was, this guy's like, well, I'm from like the other world, and their basically whole philosophy is like, our world's perfect because we, you know, got rid of all this, like basically we just control everyone, and therefore the world's at peace. So he just wanted to make his wish to turn everybody in the normal human world to Ghost, therefore he can just rule both worlds. So he wanted to complete like his dad's plan, pretty much.
Did it work?
And like, yeah. Well, no, because it's a movie. Like Ghost has to stop him. Like it almost works. Like literally almost.
Well, I wasn't sure if it's one of those things where he does it, but then he gets stopped post anyways.
No, like he almost does it. Like Ghost basically loses, and then he gets like one last push, like with everything, and then he like fucking beats him. So like basically like 99.9% done, and then like Ghost comes back and wins in the end in that movie. So yeah, like it's weird, but like, you know, like sometimes stuff is canon and sometimes it's not. I don't know.
All right. Um, Final thoughts on this episode. This episode was mostly exposition and setup, but it was really well executed, and that's what's important.
Yeah, this episode was great. And yeah, complaints aside, Build is actually a really good show. Even if it does, sometimes they do stupid shit like having Nanba Industries be there. But yeah, as long as there's a payoff later, I don't mind. So
Yeah, it's all about the payoff, because X8 had its problems too. But yeah, this was a really good episode. I did enjoy the fight a lot, and yeah, the Ghost movie was surprisingly good compared to the series.
Yeah. This was a pretty solid episode. Like, I didn't expect like that long ass fight scene, but like, I guess we actually needed it because, we're fighting three riders. It's basically the end of the world. So let's just, actually treat it like a finale. I mean, well, I guess as close as to like a finale as we can. Knowing there's like still like 10-ish episodes left. But yeah, this was pretty well done. Hopefully Namba Industries doesn't show up, or if they do, they become relevant. But otherwise, yeah, like hopefully next episode's preview, or like if that episode isn't as terrible as the preview is making it out to seem, supposedly. But yeah, the last three have been good, so that's good. Hopefully it continues.
Thanks for joining us, everybody, tonight. We'll be back next Tuesday for more Lupin Ranger versus Pod Ranger. That was also a pretty good episode. And next Wednesday for more Kamen Rider Build. Sento's getting his final form. See you next time.
bye-bye.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for joining us, everyone, and we'll catch you next time.